my name is Vanessa Yakubu and I'm an editor at the ACES Aspire team, and I'm joined here with Sylvia Milton, who has been a professional therapist for over 40 years now. Thank you so much for being on here.
Oh.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm more than happy. Okay, so why did you get into your chosen career of therapy?
When I was a small child, I was brought up by my aunt, and I had a very complicated upbringing, and so I was long-term fostered, and when I was very tiny I used to think, when I grow up I'll foster children. And my aunt used to say, no, you're too emotional, you wouldn't be able to do that. And I used to say, I might not know what to do, but I'll understand how they feel because of my own upbringing. And that was the beginning. I was only about 5 years old. That was the beginning of empathy.
Oh, wow.
So I've always cared about people. I've had my own mental health problems in the past. My birth mother had mental health problems when she was carrying me. So I always wanted to do something that would help people really who were struggling or suffering.
So that seems like therapy was the perfect career path for you then.
It has been, but I started off by joining Samaritans when I was 26 to see how I would feel working with people who had problems, and I did a lot of work in voluntary organisations, including Samaritans, for a number of years. And then when I was 32 I started studying psychology, and then I thought this is not the way forward because psychologists usually are quite young. So I knew that I'd be older when I qualified, so I took a psychotherapy course, and that's how I started really. And now I've done lots of different therapy courses, and I've done a master's in mental health. So.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you have any experience in working with young people, and if so, how was that like for you?
I've got a lot of experience working with young people. I used to work with special needs teenagers on in the early 1980s. There was something called the youth training scheme, and the youth training scheme was where trainees were given a training allowance. It was about £20 a week, and then what I did was I was training them vocational skills. So I was training office skills to them. And the thing is, at that time I was studying to be a counsellor as well, and when I did that job I also had to take a youth trainer qualification as City and Guilds. So I then started to train the trainers in working with young people. And places like the Bank of England, the Stock Exchange, NatWest, BP, all the big blue chip companies used to have a youth training scheme. So you would have somebody who might be a bank clerk, but they would have a young person attached to them. But of course with a young person comes young people's problems, and those people were not counsellors or trained to work with young people. So I used to run many different courses on working with young people.
Wow. And how was that like for you?
I loved it, absolutely loved it.
Oh,
Completely
that's good
loved it. I love working with young people.
Yeah, that's
It's brilliant.
Good. Okay. What's your opinion on how society handles mental health in young people?
I think how society handles mental health is not great with any age group. I think with young people it's really, really difficult because still I have young people come to me, and if they go through their GP, they're very often offered cognitive behavioural therapy, which is an effective form of therapy, but it's not for everyone. But it's really the only choice you get on the NHS, and then you get a limited number of sessions.
Yeah.
So the problem is that if a young person doesn't really get on well with it, then often they have nowhere else to go. So it's not great, really.
Yeah, and how do you think they'd be able to improve on that?
I think one of the ways to improve on it is to actually start training, start teaching some different things earlier on at school.
Yeah.
So empathy is one of those things. Caring about each other is really important. I think setting up groups where you can train young people to do peer support and train young people to be able to be very skilled helpers so that they can help each other. Because the way I always say to patients or clients that I see, whatever their age group is, they're the expert in what is wrong for them. And that is true with young people. So a lot of people my age or middle-aged people are always talking about young people, and they kind of go, well, we were all young once. And it's like, yes, we were all young once, but we were young in a different society.
Yeah.
So I was a teenager in the 60s. It's like it's completely different for you as a teenager now.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
it would be wrong for me to profess that I understand what that's like. Only you can teach me that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Yeah, and I think the younger you learn about mental health, the better.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
What do you think young people should do to improve their mental health?
I think that they should talk about it, but I think they should be selective as to who they talk about things to. So when everybody in society at the moment is suggesting you should talk about your mental health problems, you've got to make sure that you talk to somebody who's empathic, somebody who understands, and somebody who will be confidential as well, and not somebody who is frightened of listening to some of the problems that people have that are kind of taboo, like when people say they feel suicidal, people panic. But you can train people to deal with that. So I think that really, you know, if people are struggling, if young people are struggling, is to reach out to somebody that they trust and share that, and then, you know, look at where they need to go next for help, if it needs to be professional help.
Yeah. And what advice would you give to your 14-year-old self, mainly regarding mental health, if you could go back in time?
If I could go back in time, I mean, I still remember on a school report that I had, and it said, Sylvia must stop saying, I can't do it. Right?
Oh my God.
Now, at my age, I think that's funny, but actually when I had that piece of criticism from my, you know, form teacher, I was devastated because it just sounded like a criticism. And what I wasn't told was, Sylvia must stop saying I can't do it and start saying I can. So if I was to go back to my 14-year-old self, then I would start saying, perhaps I would ask more questions and say, okay, instead of I can't do it, what else could I say? I would also, I think, take things less seriously. I used to think I was the only one who was nervous or suffering or worried about how I looked or worried about having spots, or, you know, I used to think my family was the only one with problems. I soon found out that was not the case when I trained to be a therapist. It's like lots of families have problems.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, okay. So we've reached the end of this interview. Once again, thank you so much, Sylvia, for coming on here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
And if you feel the need to talk about any problems you have with somebody, just remember that the Samaritans are always available 365 days a year, 24/7. So just pick up the phone, give them a call. Their number is on the screen now.